Welcome to this week's Rider Support.
This week we're going to talk about how you can get into the perfect aero position while out riding, the best way to execute Zone 2 rides. But before that, the question on everybody's lips at the moment, is Mark Cavendish going to break the Tour de France stage record? Sarah.
Anthony, it was only a matter of time before we started getting Tour de France questions, so let's crack into this one. I think going to be a lot of speculation about this over the next few weeks. Anthony and Sarah, Mark Cavendish is just one victory away from making history in this Tour de France. And if he does that, the new record seems that it would stand for many, many years to come. But given that this one win is the most pressurised of his career, do you think he can do it? What do you think?
Head or heart?
Go head first. Yeah, for sure.
They both say the same things. No, I think Cavendish will do it. I think you'd be a silly man to bet against Cavendish. I had Alex Dowse say it on the podcast. It hasn't been released yet. It's going to come out next week or the week after, before the Tour de France. But he was telling me he's been working a lot with Cavendish in the run up to this. And he said he can't even tell you the stuff that he's working on, but it's stuff that no one else is thinking of. He said Cav is leaving absolutely no stone unturned in pursuit of the record.
Yeah.
I think given Cav's track record and how much he's deferred the rest of his life to come back and do one more year, he's all in. He's all in. And I would have to say yes. It's also a weaker field for sprinters this year. Tim Malia is not going. Jasper Philipsen, Jasper Disaster, is going. Who else? Jonathan Milan not going again. Both of them opted for Giro d'Italia. So it's a weak sprint field by Tour de France standards. So that kind of compounds my logic that yes, Cav will do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just to go back for people who don't know the history of the Tour de France and this kind of number, this golden chalice number. This is the most winningest stage rider of the Tour de France ever, and Mark Cavendish currently holds that in joint place with Eddie Merckx,
the greatest rider ever.
So in my bit of research that I was doing for this, if Mark Cavendish does win a stage in the Tour de France this year, which I really hope he does, and I think he will do, his team is really going to be, that's their whole focus, okay? There's 8 flat stages in the Tour de France. Now, I know not all of them will get to sprint. You know, there could be breakaway stages, things like that. So technically he could have 8 stages, and I'm sure they've got kind of 4 or 5 really in their crosshairs that they're, absolutely going to target, that are going to be perfect for him. The only thing is about him is that he's 39. And
easy on that now, unfortunately.
He's 39. And if he wins a stage of the Tour de France this year, he will be the second oldest person. Only one older person ever has won a stage of the Tour de France. And this was back in 1963, Pino Cerami. Not a name I'm very, very familiar with. So it would be one for the record books. I really hope he does it. And it was just kind of like this moment, wasn't it? When you saw him coming down, he was on the tarmac last year after almost winning a stage. I think Jasper just beat him by a couple of meters.
And his chain dropped on that, to be fair. His chain didn't drop. He was going from the 11th to the 12th, the 11th to the 12th.
It wouldn't change. That's right, yeah. So we saw him on the tarmac that was going into Bordeaux, somewhere like that. And I think a whole nation in the UK, or cycling fans in general, Mark has given a lot of entertainment to cycling fans over his career. Everyone's heart sank. And literally a day later, his team came out to say that they were trying to get him to come back for the comeback, the redemption.
And Bordeaux is a doubly hard stage because that's a stage he previously won before. His first ever Tour de France stage, he won into Bordeaux. So he knew the finish. Mark Renshaw is on the backroom team, giving a lot of good advice. The second part of that question is, it looks like it'll stand for a lot of years to come. That's kind of phrased as a question, but that's just a statement of facts. It will never be, none, I'm saying never, but the way modern cycling is developing, which looks like it's going to be shorter shelf life careers, it looks very hard. Like Bernard Hinault has the record behind Cavendish and Merckx with 28 stage wins. And then you got to jump back down to riders in the 20s and 30s with 25 stage wins, 22 stage wins. Nicolas Franz in sixth place with 20 stage wins. There's no modern riders
no one even
contesting there. So it just looks like if that record is broken, it's definitely going to be one that's going to outlive me.
I kind of missed the early Mark Cavendish era, so I'm assuming he came into the peloton and started winning when he was very, very young, you know. And you are seeing riders coming in, you know, younger and younger in, you know, winning now. So you think it's still an impossibility?
It's got to be a sprinter though to win that many stages.
Sprinter.
With the way cycling is now, it has to be a sprinter. And yeah, we just haven't seen a dominant sprinter like that, especially at that age. Cav came in so young at HTC and he was winning like every sprint stage. Like I think he won 6 stages on Tour de France, maybe even 7. Someone will correct me in the comments below. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, July.
I hope he does it. I can't wait. Go, Mark. Okay, question number 2. Anthony, how do I improve my bike position? I want to ride more often in an aero position, but my back, neck, arms and ass can only take it for a few minutes at a time. And that's from Ryan. Ryan's poor bum.
This is a really interesting one. And a friend of mine, one of my old teammates, we had a ride 2 weeks ago and we were just talking about this. If we went back training seriously, we would spend way more time in the aero position because you're covering more ground, but it's more race-like. You know, being able to put out power is one thing, but power doesn't win races. Speed wins races. So you need to train in that position because it is uncomfortable. You're in restricted hip flexor angle. Your diaphragm is closed off, so you're breathing more difficultly. It's putting a lot of stress on your supporting muscles around your spine, your erector spinae. You need a very strong core and you need to be a very robust rider to sit in that position for hours. 2 ways to do it. I don't think it's one or the other. Spending a lot of time in that position in like a graded adaptation. So if you can only do 5 minutes, do 5 minutes or do 4 minutes and then ease off 4 minutes out of the position, 4 minutes in the position, 4 minutes out, and build up to doing 20-minute blocks the same way you would with intervals. The second is you need to be prioritizing strength work. You need to be in the gym a couple of times a week to hold these positions, which is actually a nice little segue into a little giveaway we have going on at the moment. Because anyone that's been following us on social media will have seen we launched our second podcast, the eponymously named Anthony Walsh podcast. So we launched that a couple of days ago. It's more a podcast to generally explore health and happiness rather than a cycling podcast.
And it's been going really well.
Going really well the first week.
Yeah, you've hit some really amazing milestones that we've really struggled to hit on this podcast.
We hit top 10
jealous.
in the health and fitness category, which is really
on
cool.
On Apple, which is so hard to do. So thank you for everyone who was listening, tuned in.
But where this fits in, if anyone gives a review on Apple or Spotify and they screen capture and they send it to me or Sarah over on Twitter or Instagram, we're going to give you a free copy of our strength and conditioning plan, which we haven't launched yet and we're planning to launch later on this winter. So you can beat the queue and get ahead of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, strength and conditioning has really changed my comfort on the bike. There's a couple of questions coming up later about my 4-hour long ride. So it's not just if you want to get into the aero position. Doing that bit of core work, that strength work has completely radicalized my comfort.
Well, we know we need to be doing it as well now for just health and fitness.
Absolutely.
Like general non-performance related stuff.
And it's fun. You get to be inside and you're not out in the absolute lashings of rain. You don't have to find your...
The gym takes zero motivation.
Yeah, you don't have to find your matching kit or your cool socks or your bike shoes. You don't have to oil your chain. You just go to the gym, get it done in 45 minutes and away you go. Okay. Anthony, I heard that Remco Evenepoel was a top-level football player. Just wondering, do you know of many other top cyclists who had previous successes in other sports? And do you think that if you are good at one sport, you'll have a higher chance at succeeding at a second sport?
Yeah, there's definitely a few that spring to mind. I'm sure someone's going to correct us below in the comments and give us a litany of examples. A couple that spring to mind is Michael Woods. I raced Michael Woods over in Canada. He was on the Quebec team, Garneau. And I remember driving out to Quebec. I was living in Toronto. I think the drive was like 5-6 hours to get to this race. It was like a 7 a.m. or an 8 a.m. start. So I got there the night before, but really late, hardly had any sleep. The next morning, the race started up a climb. Mike Woods hit it at the base of the climb. I was literally dropped him back in the car inside 10 minutes driving home. So Mike was a talent. As soon as he came from running over to cycling, he was a talent. But he was a runner of some note. I think he had, let me have it here. He was an elite middle distance runner and he had a junior world record for the mile at one point.
Wow.
So he obviously transferred into cycling super well with Israel Premier Tech now, won Tour de France stages. He's an all-round bit of a legend. Adam Hansen, who we've had the president of the Riders Association, we've had on the podcast before as well. He was a very high-level triathlete.
Yeah,
they're the only two I know.
Well, obviously Roglic. He's probably the most famous one.
Yeah.
Roglic was a pretty high achieving ski jumper, and he had a bad injury that kind of took him out of ski jumping and into cycling, out from the fire and into the pan, or what's that? One dangerous sport to another, it seems. But yeah, do you think that there is that thread? You know, if you're good at one sport, you'd be good at others. Like, obviously there's crossover between, for instance, people always talk about the same VO2, adaptations that you need to have for cycling and rowing, for instance, that they're two sports that if you're good at cycling, potentially you've got a better chance of being a good rower. They're two sports but there's the physicality thing, but there's also like the mindset and motivation part. And
well, just the application. Like if you can apply yourself to training 30 hours a week in running and you move across to cycling, it doesn't really seem like it's going to be that difficult for you to apply yourself 30 hours a week. It's a skill set you've learned. It's like the argument for total curveball here, but the argument for minimum wage and not having minimum wage jobs, because if you don't have minimum wage jobs, kids don't get to learn those. There's less people in the workforce, and kids don't get to learn stuff like timekeeping, like politeness, punctuality, and their transferable skills to actual careers later in their life. I kind of look at other sports like that, even if it's a sport that it maybe doesn't have a lot of longevity. Getting into sport at a young age, it teaches you hard work. It teaches you discipline, dedication, keeping your kit clean, how to play well as part of a team. They're very transferable skills beyond sport as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, there's a lot more than just the physicality and those adaptations to moving from one sport to the other. Okay, hi Anthony and Sarah. My very thoughtful wife bought me a pair of arm and leg warmers, which I know were very expensive. The problem is they are bright white. I have never seen anyone wearing white leg warmers before. They are the full length version. Is this a cycling fashion mistake? Anthony, now I know you probably will say, well, wear whatever you want and don't worry about what other people think, but I would like some honest advice. Can white leg warmers ever be cool? And that's from Art. I get what Art is, where he's coming from here, because you do have kind of a bit of a, you look cool on the bike. You're already cool. You know how to dress on the bike. People write in looking for, advice. Is this okay to wear? And you're like, wear whatever you want. And I'm always like, no, don't wear that. You look like an idiot. People will be talking behind your back and laughing at you. And personally, Anthony, you can row in a second. Oh, I saw a chap in Dublin quite recently. I was in the car and he had on a pair of black shorts, white, long, thick leg warmers, and they were a bit big on him, so they were kind of like crinkly and bunching, and it just looked so awful. I was like, that is not a good look at all.
What you wear versus how you wear at the base as well.
Yeah.
But I think Art firstly doesn't probably have to worry too long, because they're not going to be white after the first couple of rides if he's in Ireland or the UK. Just the muck is going to magnetise to them. But I sent Wes an image just before the podcast, so Wes, I'm sure we'll flick it up on screen, of this isn't going to be popular with the ladies, but maybe the coolest rider of all time, Mario Cipollini.
Yeah.
And he was wearing a pair of white leg warmers. They're so cool.
But are they full length? Or are they just the ones that kind of come past,
your Cipo
knee?
done it all.
Oh,
they're kind of more like calf warmers.
Well, like, can we also just say that Cipollini shouldn't be
anyone's hero.
He shouldn't be anyone's hero, not just women's.
Wisely.
We don't support women beaters here, even if they are stylish.
Yeah, hold on. We're very happy to listen to Billie Jean and whistle along to it in the car and park Michael Jackson's history. I want us to do the same with Cipollini. Park Cipollini.
And just look at his style.
And just go, he's stylish. Maybe one of the greatest sprinters of all time.
Yeah, so would you wear full length white leg warmers, Anthony?
It's a tough one to answer.
It'll be a stretch.
It depends on the rest of the kit as well. And it depends on where you are. If you're in, I don't know, you're rocking around Mallorca in the off season and the rest of your kit is white and you're rocking a nice tan under it, yeah, I could see how you can pull them off. They're not going to be the most flattering colour if you're carrying a couple of pounds. I would say you're probably looking at a thumbs down to buy them yourself. If you get them as a gift, I'd still wear them.
You can also buy, here's a really good tip, Art. You can buy fabric dye that you can put in the washing machine with your white leg warmers and it will dye them navy or black. And honestly, I think straight away do that.
Tell her you washed them with a sock.
I actually advise everybody who's not World Tour or not a Cat 1 rider to avoid the colour white in their kit because it's just not flattering. It's very, very difficult to wear. It's just, it doesn't look good unless you're absolutely like Jonas skinny.
Jack.
Okay. Hi, Sarah and Anthony. I follow you both on Strava. And Sarah, I want to know how you get through those really long, really slow, low heart rate rides every weekend. 4 hours is tough to do. So a few questions around this as I really want to incorporate low heart rate training. How do you find a training buddy who has the same low heart rate zones as you? If there's no training partner, how do you mentally get through 4 hours? And finally, how do you keep your heart rate so low throughout the spin? I'm guessing you're going up climbs, etc. Hope my question makes it onto the show. And that's from Peter Millen, 1985.
It's a question for you, Sarah.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, I don't have a training partner that has low heart rate zones. Maybe I'll post my heart rate zones online and see if anyone wants to tag along with me.
Just to avoid the confusion, because I know it's going to come in the comments. You're not looking for somebody that has low heart rate zones, because I could go out with you and both of us could be at 110 beats, but I'm going to be riding at 240 watts and you're going to be riding at 110 watts.
Yes.
You're looking for someone that has a correspondingly low heart rate to power ratio.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a great clarification. So yeah, basically, Peter, I do these long rides on my own because I'm very, very focused on keeping my heart rate in the zones that I've, been prescribed by Anthony, who coaches me. And I'm kind of obsessed about that. And I feel that if I go out with somebody else, I'm going to be riding their kind of ride, or I'm going to be chatting with them, or I'm going to be stopping with them whenever they want to stop. And this 4 hour Saturday long rides for me, they're really, really focused, and they're just something that I know I have to get through on my own. So there's no training partner. How do I mentally get through the 4 hours? To be honest, when I come back, I do say to Anthony, whoa, that was lonely. That was 4 hours is a long time. If you stop for, 20 minutes in the middle, you'd go for a pee break.
That's weird.
I would stop on my own. If I need to get water, just in a shop, just get water, get a couple of snacks, whatever I need. But yeah, I do come home and I'm like, oh, felt really, really long this week. And the problem is, unless you're listening to podcasts and music, you're just left alone with your thoughts. And that can be quite nice also, being completely off phones, devices, podcasts, music, anything like that. So I don't know what my tips are. If you can safely listen to podcasts, do that. And then otherwise maybe just have a think. Have you any advice?
You can also do them indoors. Roadman, I know how serious you take your goal setting, whether they're fitness or life-related goals. If you're looking for a powerful ally to support you on this journey, look no further than Huel. Huel has become my secret weapon for when I don't have time to prepare a balanced meal. It ensures I get the nutrition I need without sacrificing time or taste. Plus, it stops me from reaching for that takeaway menu. I always throw a bottle into my backpack when I'm heading into the city to work, and it stops me eating junk convenience foods, snacking on croissants and bars of chocolate, because I know they don't support my training goals. It's a handy, nutritious meal on the go, and it's got over 22 grams of protein. Huel is perfect for athletes that don't have time to cook or prepare food before a training session. It's convenient, nutritious fuel at your fingertips, ensuring you hit your daily fueling needs for that session. Huel Ready To Drink has 26 essential vitamins and minerals in every single bottle. You're getting a whopping 175 health benefits. Plus, it's made from natural ingredients like topeka, sunflower seed, coconut, and more. The best part, it's the flavours. There's 8 crazy, beautiful flavours. Iced coffee is what's in my backpack right at the moment. You can get Huel directly to your home. All you got to do is head on over to the Huel website, huel.com/Roadman. Alex Dowser talks about this again to reference the same podcast that's coming. Even when he was based in Andorra, he said one of the most picturesque places in the world to ride a bike. He said he often found himself defaulting to sitting on the Wattbike for 4 or 5 hour endurance rides just because the mental stimulation you get from sitting in and watching a good movie or a series on Netflix. You just stick the Wattbike into erg mode and you can sit there and tap away for 4 or 5 hours. I'd happily do that as well. I don't find that mentally taxing. It's difficult to get training partners because you've on both ends, it's difficult to get training partners if you're trying to do a controlled zone 2 ride. Weaker people sometimes feel like they have something to prove, and they'll push themselves into their zone 3, zone 4, and will pull you out of it. And then stronger people are going to just naturally, they're not going to be able to ride slow enough for you to be in zone 2. With the disparity in our fitness levels, it's not possible for us to do a zone 2 ride together. The best is if I do a zone 2 ride, you're in the wheel, you're probably still going to be zone 3 in the wheel. But you can utilize that, which is a good strategy. You can normally go training with somebody who's maybe a cat different or 2 cats different with you if they're sitting in your wheel. I could definitely do a zone 2 ride with a cat 3 in my wheel. And he's going to be in zone 2 as well.
Yeah, that's really good advice. 4 hours on a Wattbike. For me, that's a no, just because, I understand that you can put on Netflix. 4 hours on an indoor trainer of any description, I find a little bit uncomfortable, just because there's no opportunity really. You can, of course, stand up on the seat, on the saddle if you want. You could kind of put little breaks in like that. But no, for me, it's all outdoor for those super long spins. One final part to that. How do you keep your heart rate so low throughout the spin? I'm guessing you're going up climbs, etc. How do you just do? You just go really easy. If you're going up climbs or any rises at all, you just go really slowly. That's it in a nutshell. Okay, rider support question. As a man, when I wear bib shorts, I find myself sympathising with the difficulties of women attire across the centuries. Okay. I've
never thought that when I put on a pair of bib shorts. This has never popped into my mind.
Has your mind ever gone there? If I want to pee, I need to take at least one of the straps off my shoulder. But to do that, it requires that I unzip the jersey that goes over the straps. This leads me to a question. Do World Tour riders get access to some special kind of bib shorts that have an opening? I don't see them fumbling through these same challenging manoeuvres. Thanks in advance for your candid reply to this matter of some, shall I say, urgency.
I think he's the one wearing different shorts to everyone else. No, he's wearing a different set of shorts to everyone else. You don't need to take a strap off.
I think let's just cut through. Let's not dick around, excuse the pun here with this, okay? What you do, dear listener, I haven't got your name, is as a man, you leave your straps on and your jersey, and you pull your shorts down at the front and produce your
weapon.
Some might call it a weapon. I am not commenting on that. You basically just pull the front of your shorts down, right? Yeah. Everything. It's all very elastic.
You don't need to take a strap off. It's elasticated kit.
Yeah. So get your thumb in the I
don't know if you need to give him a demo here.
Well, clearly I do. He hasn't thought of this, that you just pull it down at the front. It's all elasticated.
Well, because the straps are elastic all the way down.
Yeah,
so
they
stretch.
will pull down. So pull down the front so your willy is exposed.
You can't say willy. You have to use the word weapon.
So your weapon is exposed, and go for your wee. As a girl, we don't have these opportunities. You're lucky that you can do this. So yeah, you've obviously never been at a sportif or gone to a race. I go and support Anthony in races all of the time. I think I've seen probably 90% of the people who race in Ireland. I've probably seen them pull their bib shorts down at the front and go for a wee, because everyone does it in the car park. Everyone does it at the side of the road. You've obviously never seen another man do this, but it's perfectly normal to do this in the field or somewhere.
A good tip for if you are going to using the bathroom before and you need to do more than a number one, you need to go in and use, relieve yourself and get rid of some burden before the race.
Burden. If you want to get to climbing weight real quick.
Yeah. So if you want to get kitted, as a lot of people do at home, and drive to the race, even if the race is under an hour drive away, a lot of people will put their kit on, drive through to the race. Put your kit on, but don't do the straps up underneath. Like, don't pull the straps up around your shoulder. So you have your shorts on, you have your jersey on, and then you can just pull your bib shorts down before the race. That's a tip he could use as well if he's suffering with some sort of non-elasticated
It's a cool
bands.
look. I think it's a cool look as well. You're just like rocking around the car park with your bib straps kind of hanging down, and you're in your flip-flops. It just looks kind of cool.
Roadman, I've got something exciting to share with you. It's been making a huge difference in my performance of late, especially when it comes to my sleep. Allow me to introduce you to Pillar. We're probably all familiar with the importance of electrolytes and carbohydrates in our race preparation. Pillar is taking a slightly different route. It's focusing on something called micronutrition, ensuring you're ready to perform even before you ever hit the start line. It's all about promoting a good night's sleep, facilitating effective recovery, and replenishing those crucial micronutrients so you can perform your best. Over the past month, I've been running a little experiment. I've been incorporating Pillar's triple magnesium supplement into my routine. I take it 30 minutes before bed every night, and I've seen a remarkable improvement in my sleep quality and my HRV. I'm tracking this every single night using my Whoop, and the results are there in black and white. I wake up feeling refreshed, having had a deep restorative sleep, and I'm ready to take on work, take on training, or whatever life throws at me the next day. But I want you to do something. Don't take my word for this. Let the data from your fitness tracker tell you the story. If you're ready to elevate your performance and elevate your sleep quality like me, why not give Pillar a try? Head on over to pillarperformance.shop and use the code Roadman on your local website to get 15% off your first order. If you're listening in the US, you can head on over to thefeed.com/pillar and use the code Roadman for the same 15% off your first order.
Honourable mention for somebody who was arrested a few weeks ago just before Unbound. Lawrence Tandam and Thomas Decker were...
Had the weapons out.
Had their weapons out
in the car
in
park.
Oklahoma. Next thing they looked up and there was 5 pistols pointing at them apparently. And they were put into a jail, given proper like orange jumpsuits in a jail cell with like a metal toilet in it for about 9 or 10 hours before they eventually paid $185 for bail. All because they had their weapons out in a car park, and they said that they were changing, but there was no showers, so they were like spraying water all over each other and
Bit Brokeback Mountain,
that's
isn't it?
basically what Lawrence Tandam said on his podcast, that they were accused of being gay in Oklahoma. Apparently that's not kosher over there, so they were thrown into a prison cell for a couple of hours. So yeah, be careful of that, frolicking around in car parks.
Folks, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Rider Support. There's another video up here, which I know you're going to love. It's a recent conversation I had with the amazing Dan Martin, where we break down some of the best moments in his career. And if you click down here, you can subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more of Sarah's weapon talk.